Valentine's Day, or what I like to call it, Day of Love. Happy Day of Love. I thought this was a very fitting episode today to talk about things that you can do for yourself and to spread love, spread joy, not just to other people around you, but to yourself. And I think that, whether you celebrate Valentine's Day or not, I think it can be a good thing to kind of shift our perspective. And I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, I remember recently just reading a post that I did like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was like, you know what? This is really cool. Like, we have a day to celebrate love. Like, whether you think that or believe that it's just a holiday, quote holiday, to sell like cards and kind of a Hallmark holiday and just for, whatever it may be. It's also an entire day dedicated to love. And this doesn't just have to be with your significant other. Maybe you don't have a partner or a significant other, and I think that's okay too. That's actually more than okay. Like I said, it's pretty cool that we have a day that's just celebrated to love, which I believe should be celebrated every single day, of course, not just with ourselves, with our partners, everyone around us, but it can also be kind of just like a reminder to shower ourselves with love as well. I'm going to actually share something that I don't think I've ever talked about on the podcast actually, or really ever talked about it, not on social media anyway, or the podcast. This is something that I feel like really truly helped me in my journey of growth and with coming to a place of true love with myself, my body, myself, who I am. It was kind of a time of empowerment for myself and trying to more so just focus on me. And this was probably, not last year, but the year before that and that previous whole year. I decided that I was going to fully work on myself. I was living the single life and I wanted to make sure that whoever my next partner was, I wasn't looking to them for validation of anything. I wasn't looking to them to tell me I'm pretty or beautiful, or to have them tell me the things that I want to hear. I wanted to provide that for myself, to myself, for myself. And whenever my lifelong partner did come along, it was just going to be extra. It would just be the icing on the cake. Not even the icing on the cake. It would be some random sprinkles that people put on. I don't know, whatever. That was maybe not the best example, but I wanted to love myself for me 100% in total, and anything that someone else brought in, it was just extra. And I really believe that I did that. I think that I can't really speak for anyone else, but I know for myself, I didn't want to look for that in someone else or be hoping that someone was going to give me that. I wanted to give that for myself, to myself. And I think I kind of struggled with it too in the beginning because my love language is words of affirmation. Literally when people tell me they appreciate me or I'm pretty or whatever it is, I feel so much love from that and I feel appreciated from that. It doesn't even have to be in a relationship terms for the words of affirmation. It could be just even a client telling me how much I am changing their life, or that just anything with words. A couple things that I did, and I'm going to share a list of, things that you could also do for yourself and things that are kind of considered self-care when maybe we wouldn't realize it or think of it as being self-care. We think of self-care being going to get a massage, buying this, buying that. And I'm going to share a few things that might be, hopefully, things that you've never heard of before and could be a moment of maybe realization for you. But to start, one of those things was I decided to listen to, it was a podcast, or maybe it was a podcast, or maybe it was a series on a podcast called The Sacredness of Being Single. That's kind of where I started. And it was really empowering to go through that and to see being single as sacred. Along with that, I did a lot of self-reflection. I actually went to, it's a company called We're Not Really Strangers, I think. We're Not Really Strangers. Yeah, I think that's it. I will put that in the show notes. But I had bought a self-reflection card. It's a card deck plus a journal. And I believe it was the self-reflection one that I did where you choose a card and then there's a really deep question in there. Sometimes not as deep, but then you would reflect and just write down either what came to mind, or I would maybe take some time to think about it and then write it down and just journal it out. And usually I would do that at nighttime. But I feel like that, again, really helped me to turn inward and learn more about myself, connect with myself, connect deeper with myself, get to know myself more, and love myself more. I tried to also change my perspective of like when I would go and do things by myself. I used to want someone with me or like need someone with me. It was more of kind of like a fear of being judged or like not wanting to look dumb doing something, which is so stupid. It seems like looking back at that now. But then I just began to feel this sense of like excitement when I go and do something by myself, or like I would go by myself. There was a time I went to buy myself flowers, and that same day I did a workout, bought myself flowers, went and got a smoothie, went to it's called 3 Degrees. So doing like an infrared sauna, just focusing on doing that by myself and for myself. But here are some other things that you can do for pouring back into yourself, showing yourself that self-care, that self-love. And that is number 1, write yourself a love letter or a letter to your future self. And you could put really anything in that, but I think that can be a kind of a cool way to connect with yourself. And I mean, I could share a whole list of things that you've probably already heard before and things that are kind of common, but I'm really going to try and just stick to a few things that you maybe haven't heard of before and not be super basic with this, and not not share things that you've maybe already heard, like the taking a bath or going to get a massage or doing something that you love or that brings you joy and happiness. I'm kind of stay away from those. Okay, the next thing is to actually go and text a friend or a family member and tell them how much you appreciate them, or just share with them how much you've impacted their life. Because not only is that going to give that love and spread love and joy to someone else, but you will maybe find that you also feel this sense of fulfillment or sense of like gratification or love or like whatever it is. It feels good to share that with other people. And I said a friend or a family member, but this could also be to a support group or a small business that you love, or it could be a person walking by, or it could be the customer that you're helping, or it could be the person that's helping you at some checkout line. So just giving and showing that love to anyone around us. And the next one is to not only decide to work on yourself. I hope at this point you've kind of already made that decision, especially if you're listening to this podcast, but decide to set some boundaries. I think that that's kind of being talked a little bit more about lately, especially within the mental health space, but setting boundaries is very important. And this can look different for every single person. And it depends on what it is you need to have set, or like what specific thing you want to have a boundary set with. But it's not only caring for yourself, but it is showing respect to yourself. A lot of times, especially in the busyness of life, and maybe you have a family, maybe you don't, but we're always trying to do things for other people. And sometimes we don't prioritize ourselves. And I think that we are the most important thing. Like, we cannot be there for someone else to the best of our ability if we are not fully there for ourselves and working on ourselves. And I'm going to share this quote or this video that I stumbled upon on Instagram. This is the account called Self-Care is for Everyone. Highly recommend. But I'm going to share what they're saying in a video. It says, "You are the only person who's always been there for you. You're the only person who's woken up with you every morning of your life and gone to bed with you every night. On the hardest night in your life, every time you were in your bed crying over something you thought your world was ending, you were the only person who's been there every second of every day for your entire life. Your job, not because you are so special, but because it's your job to look after yourself." So really what that comes down to, and what this entire episode comes down to, what I'm trying to get at, is effort, intentional effort, intentional thoughts, intentional action taking, intentional doing, intentional being, all centered around ourselves and around love within ourselves, to ourselves, and then also those around us. Effort for ourselves, effort within the community, to anyone that we walk by, just showing that kindness. And I just love that. I love love. I love that we have a day that is really specific to being intentional and putting in effort towards the ones that we love. And then having it be a reminder not only on that day, but then the days leading up to it, the days after that, and then hopefully even months after February 14th. And then hopefully it can actually come to a point where maybe as a couple, like for me, I used to want to celebrate it and, go out on for a date night and do all those things, on that day with my person. But also I would almost rather us do that on just a random day. Like, hey, let's go out for a date night tonight, or let's do this, let's do that. Or like she surprises me with flowers on some random day where I don't want to just expect it on a certain day. Or maybe it's me giving something to her or doing something for her. Like either way, vice versa. Hopefully it can come to a point where it's like, we don't have to just wait for that day. And it's just like, we not want it, but we look to do these things randomly. So that's that. That's all I got for you today. I hope this maybe was a little bit of an inspiration thing for you, or maybe opened your eyes to something in some way. I don't know. Hopefully you took whatever you needed from this episode. And if it was valuable to you, or you resonated with anything that I said, I would love if you would either share it to your social media, or maybe share it with someone who you love or who you care about, or who you think maybe would love to hear what I said in this episode today. And if you would love to, or if you are starting to take care of yourself by choosing your health, trying to work out or move more, or choose different foods, or like whatever it is within your wellness, I have a free Facebook community called the Food Freedom and Muscle Building Solutions Facebook group. I will link that in the show notes, but it's a great support system, community, accountability. I go live every week to talk about a specific topic when it comes to nutrition, fitness, mindset, mental health, wellness, all the things, much like this podcast, but a little bit more. So would love to have you. And that's that. As always, I appreciate you. I love you. And thank you for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, week, weekend. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Flow with the Grow. I'll see you next week for your daily dose of positivity and growth.